Hall to Hamden. And over the last, 23 years, nothing had happened. And what Jim did was he became commissioner and he changed the culture of the whole Department of Transportation. And I have to tell you that if it wasn't for his vision and his initiative, this wouldn't happen. Not this, not that, not anything. We just finished our section, which was about 1.8 miles, about 6 weeks ago, and had a ribbon cutting. And while we constructed it, it was because of 90% reimbursement from the state and their guidance, their help, their technology, and their willingness to help us cut through the bureaucracy. This section, which is completely done by the state, which is 2.4 miles, has happened quicker than I ever expected. You've ridden it, you see how beautiful it is, and the thing that's most outstanding is all these additional amenities that they've added, which we hadn't had before. And we're going to continue to add amenities. We're trying to get a sidewalk constructed up Jarvis Street. We're going to hopefully build a parking lot down at West Main Street. They're going to put more bathrooms down there. They're also going to have a bike repair station. So the whole thing is just going to get nicer and nicer. And I just ask you guys to make sure that you get word out to everybody. Enjoy it, you can use it safely, you can use it appropriately, because we really don't have the staff to continue to maintain it to the level we want to. So we're going to rely on everybody to keep it nice and keep it safe. So I just want to again thank the commissioner and his great staff of people who've made this all possible. And again, with their help, the missing link, which is about 0.6 of a mile where the Dalton piece is supposed to be completed about 2 years from now. And then to go all the way down to New Haven. So with that, I want to introduce our very good friend and great supporter of transportation and the trail in Cheshire, Commissioner Redeker.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks everybody for being here. I want to really express my appreciation for this particular investment, because this investment is in my town. And it really is meaningful to have this as part of the asset of where I live. But it's here because of vision, and it's here because of really good work by the community, patience by the community, participation, great staff at DOT, great contractor that pulled it all together. It takes all that, but it takes a vision too, to make these things happen. And this system, this East Coast Greenway, has supporters from Maine to Florida, but none as strong as in Connecticut, and we will have the longest contiguous part of a paved part of East Coast Greenway in 2 years when we finish the piece in town. That's an amazing achievement. All that is part of the governor's vision, which made this happen. This is part of the Let's Go CT program that for the first time in Connecticut's history has $100 million in the budget funded for bicycle and pedestrian treatments in Connecticut. That's what's going to make the East Coast Greenway a reality through the entire state of Connecticut. So it's a thrill to be here. It's a thrill to have such a great day. And when I see kids on bikes, and I see dogs, and I see bicycles, and I see people using this, it really is terrific. And one final piece, I owe $51 because I was here 2 weeks ago.
Given us, $15 million to construct this, I think that maybe we'll try to find some loophole in the law to pass on the $51 fine. The next person I'd like to introduce is one of our council members, Patty Flynn Harris. And Patty, I know, takes special pride in this because she lives about a quarter of a mile away from here, so this is her backyard. And so she's representing the town council, and she has a few words to say. Patty?
Thank you, Michael. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to actually going to be standing this way. Last time we were standing the other way, and I'm proud to be able to be here to help open this up. If anything, as the commissioner said, this is really a great example of a partnership between a local town and the state, and how constructive and productive we can be with, as he said, a vision to be able to link all of these towns as part of the greater Rails to Trails network. I used to walk this many years ago when it was still an active train line, and actually then walked it when we finally had the train stop and pulled up the rails, and there was nobody here but a dirt path, and nobody really knew about it except the neighbors. So to see the way that it's blossomed to be able to be used by all the community. And I think really one of the things that to me is important is when people turn around and say, well, is this really a very beneficial use of state money? They don't understand that it doesn't just benefit our town, but this is a benefit to all of our surrounding towns. We have bicyclers here, as they're nodding their heads, that come all the way from up north as well as down south. I have a very good friend in my neighborhood who's also a marathon runner. She can't wait to have the whole thing finished from up to Southington so she can do 23 miles straight on the path all the way down to New Haven. So it's going to be used by everybody. It already is. It's been a wonderful development, and it's been a great boon for the town. And we thank you all for all of the support. But the only thing I ask, and I love you bicyclers, I just got mine fixed. Just remember there's walkers out here too. You know, call out, you know, on your left, ring your bell, you know, when you're coming through with your pack. Because we all are going to enjoy this, all the new length and the new connectivity to it. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for helping us celebrate. Thank you, Michael, and thank you very much.
One thing I want to add to what Patty said is definitely call out your passes, but don't just say on the left, say passing on the left. I had an experience where I called out on the left and the elderly woman in front of me moved to her left, and at which point I almost completely wiped her out. So add the word passing on the left. Nobody understands on the left. Anyway, with that being said, the next speaker is Joe Markley. Senator Markley represents Cheshire and 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 other towns, but he's always been very supportive of this initiative, and he's here today to say a few words on this special opening. Senator?
Thank you, Michael. I'm a man who has never had occasion to say on the left. Let me thank you for the opportunity to just say a few words. I live in Plantsville, really just a couple hundred yards away from the trail there. And not only have I enjoyed it, but I'm aware of what an asset it has been to our community. And the completion of this line in the long run is really going to be a marvelous thing. And I'll say to the Commissioner, I haven't agreed with every project the Department of Transportation has undertaken, but I have never questioned the quality of the work they've done. I really feel like it's a very professional. What you get is first-class results. And I'll say one more thing, because it was on my mind driving over here and standing here on a beautiful day like this. Very little has happened good involving the state of Connecticut and the town of Cheshire in the past that was not initiated by Representative Mary Fritz. And to dedicate something like this today and to see this beautiful day makes me think of her and wish that she were here with us. She was extremely proud of this community, and she would be proud of every positive development that has taken place here. And she's very much on my mind today, and I just want to thank her for her good work on behalf of this community and remember her on a happy occasion here in Cheshire. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And you know, I'm glad you brought up the name of Mary Fritz, because I was remiss in not mentioning her. Mary was a longtime legislator who passed away about 6 months ago and did a world of good for us in Cheshire. But I think one of the last things she did for us is she got us this property here. It was through Mary's efforts that, excuse me, the 5 or 6 acres of this land over here was received from the state through a conveyance bill that she had passed. And without this parking lot, I don't know what we would have done, because this is a critical part of making this place accessible and convenient, and also adding the bathrooms as well. So it was through Mary's efforts that this land is here and this parking lot is available. So thank you for bringing up her name. The next 2 gentlemen, Doug Noble and Bruce Donald, represent coalitions of biking enthusiasts. Bruce is with the East Coast Greenway, and Doug, I can't remember what this acronym stands for, but
Farmington Canal Rails and Trails Association.
okay, there it is. Anyway, without having people like this to continue to support us at every level of government, these kinds of things wouldn't happen. So I want to invite them both to come up and speak. And again, thank you for all your efforts in continuing to support us in this endeavor.
Well, good morning, everybody. First, I want to say thank you to everybody here. Without all the people involved in this project, we wouldn't be standing here at this ceremony this morning. As a kid, I grew up a few miles away, and I remember going to the small little trail in Cheshire. I was just up on the hill in Prospect. Like, this is pretty cool. And now I have a 4-year-old, and I can proudly say that can go on the long trail that can actually go from New Haven to Massachusetts. So we've come a long way since 1993, and we're really appreciative to all the support that the state, the citizens of Cheshire and in the surrounding towns, all of our elected officials, Jim Redeker and Bruce Donald, who's going to be speaking next. He's our East Coast Greenway Tri-State Coordinator.
Yep.
So without further ado, I'd like to introduce him. Thank you.
Thank you all. It's nice to be here. Who phoned for the weather? This is pretty impressive. The East Coast Greenway is 3,000 miles from Key West, Florida to Calais, Maine. And it's now about 30% built, as in off-road, like this. There's plenty of on-road route, but there are a few states, there's 14 states and the District of Columbia involved in this project. As you can imagine, some of them are substantially built out, others are not. Connecticut is one of the ones that is. With this project, designated this year, the 4 miles of Cheshire, along with other projects, primarily in the eastern part of the state, we're designating 10 miles of trail this year and about 20 next year. So that gives you an idea of what Connecticut's up to. One of the reasons why this is so successful is because of Commissioner Redeker, and a lot's been said about him, but the truth is that in the whole system, up and down the East Coast, there are very few people that the East Coast Greenway has elected to receive one of these.
The tile.
Which is a handmade tile, and it just says thank you.
All right.
So please.
Okay. All right.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Yeah. Thank you all for coming out, and as you use this beautiful trail system, think about the gaps remaining. I do want to call out Plainville. Plainville is the last undesigned gap in the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail in Connecticut, and is an ongoing project. We are not quite sure where it's going to go. We will know by the middle of next year, roughly. And so keep your eyes on that. Keep your eyes on the north of Southington, which is also part of that project. And then most importantly, part of that project is a connection from this trail to Connecticut Fast Track in New Britain. And that was added on, but not as an afterthought. That was added on because these connections, these multimodal connections to this trail, this is the spine, right? All those ribs are what makes this a vibrant trail, because you got to get to it, right? And ideally, who wants to drive their car to it? So that's, I think, an important takeaway in all this, is those connections, which are going to become critical in the next few years. So thank you all very much.
Thank you all for coming. What we're going to do is we're going to now have the ribbon